Tonight on Q2, extending the runway.
When they have winds that will impact their ability to take off and land, they can use the crosswind runway.
The Billings Airport receives the green light on a $6 million construction project.
Oh no, oh no, oh my God.
Plus, dangers on the ice.
You know, you always hear those kinds of stories and it kind of takes your breath away.
A freak accident in youth hockey that nearly took the life of a Wyoming boy, now putting a spotlight on safety. And a truly super picker-upper.
It's in my blood. I mean, even when my wife and I go traveling in our camper, we'll pull off at rest stops and that, and I'll get my bag and pick her out.
A retired veteran now giving back by doing some dirty work. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us on this Monday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. New at 10, the Billings Airport scoring a touchdown tonight as a $6 million runway expansion project has been approved by City Council. That project, which will take nearly 6 months to complete, will replace the asphalt of the crosswind runway and extend its length, allowing for larger and heavier aircraft to operate on it. Tonight, our David J. dives deeper into the plans and the difference they could make.
This is runway 725. They're going to be extending it out in that direction. You can see on the ground here where some of the asphalt is cracked and we've had to fill it up with some sealant and all of that. So a big part of the project will be the repaving of the whole runway.
We're going 20 and it's pretty bouncy. So if you're going 100, it's just magnifies out that much.
Mick McCarthy, Airport Operations Supervisor, shows how rough a ride it can be on runway 725.
The runway actually ends at this white stripe here, and then you got a lot of down angle here. So this is going to continue out, we said another 850 feet.
725 is a crosswind runway used by lighter airplanes if the winds are too strong and in the wrong direction on the main runway.
So if it's too much of a crosswind and gets the wings a tipping, especially the small aircraft, then they'll use 725.
The City Council approved the $6.1 million project, nearly all paid from the airport's FAA Airport Improvement Program grants and an FAA grant. That will pay for LED signs and lighting, along with replacing dirt and rock underneath and new pavement.
We're going to go ahead and totally reconstruct that runway to improve the safety of the runway surface because it's breaking down due to age.
Jeff Roach, the City of Billings Director of Aviation and Transit, says the runway will be longer and able to handle heavier planes.
So we're talking about the largest of the business jet aircraft. So like the Gulfstreams or the Cessna Citations, those will be able to utilize the crosswind runway.
And construction will start in May and it's estimated to finish in the fall.
Anytime we're looking at upgrading our facilities and improving what we have, improving the safety of our facilities, it's always a very positive thing for the airport.
Airport 4 proceeding on runway 25, holding short of 28 right on 28 left.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Tonight, new details surrounding the arrest of 3 illegal immigrants at the northern border near Havre. They were arrested earlier this month and are identified as members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Now, if you remember, several members of that gang were already arrested in Montana in early February. These are pictures from those arrests on February 12th. As 6 people were discovered in Gallatin County. At the time, Gallatin County Sheriff Dan Springer said that law enforcement has been working to prevent TDA from establishing a network in the area. The gang is known to focus on human smuggling and other illicit acts that target desperate migrants. An 11-year-old Wyoming boy is lucky to be alive tonight after being slashed across the neck by an ice skate. That incident likely could have killed him if not for the neck guards required by the league. Our Charlie Kleps looks more at the precautions in place here in Montana to prevent similar injuries.
There's always risks for hockey players when they step onto the ice. But following the tragic death of NHL player Adam Johnson, changes were made heading into this hockey season, and they're already making an impact both here in Montana, in Wyoming, and across the country.
Oh no, oh no.
This is the moment it happened.
I couldn't see it. I didn't see it. It was so quick.
Though it's hard to see, the chaos that followed isn't.
Oh my God! Oh my God, somebody call 911.
That buzzer alerting the crowd as both teams cleared the ice, putting this under-12 hockey game between Casper and Park City on a bone-chilling hold.
I saw him go to the ground, and he was on his knees, and he went like this.
For mother Lauren Lyon, it was her worst nightmare coming true.
It's emotional now because thinking back on it, how terrifying it was, but during the actual event, I wasn't feeling anything. I just kind of kicked into survival mode.
And it truly was a life or death moment as her 11-year-old son Carter got struck by a skate during the game, slicing his neck wide open.
I kind of just got in his face. I said, "You're okay, you're okay." And I grabbed his hand, and his hand had his blood on it, so that was awful.
Carter was raced to the hospital where he would receive stitches for the 7-inch long laceration, with one name being whispered through the crowd.
None of us knew how bad it was. We had no idea, but all of us were thinking of Adam Johnson.
Adam Johnson was a former NHL player who died in 2023 when a skate sliced his neck during a collision while playing a game in England. His death rocked the hockey world. Fortunately, Carter was wearing this, though that hasn't always been the case.
I remember back in my day, playing as a youth, neck guards were optional, and most guys didn't bother with them.
Sean Gilmore, the director of the Billings Bulls Youth Hockey Club, says even just a year ago, most hockey players didn't wear neck guards. Following Johnson's death, nearly every league outside of the NHL mandates them.
And I'm grateful that it's really there now because it is about safety.
A change made just in the nick of time for this family. Grateful that this story didn't end differently.
If I dive further into how bad this could be, I don't think I could really find words for it.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
We thought we'd check in on snowfall and see how things are looking up in the mountains. Now, we take the 30-year average and compare it to where the snowfall is up into the mountains that will provide what we need for spring runoff. And right now, all those green shaded areas are running between 90 and 110% of average, which is right about where you want to be. And we're looking pretty good. In fact, right around the Smith River Basin, we're looking at slightly more than that. There's a few locations lagging behind, but overall, we're in pretty good shape at this point, and we could get some additional mountain snow in the short term. As those showers decrease tonight, we'll get into a warmer and drier period just before the chance of more mountain snow develops. Details coming up.
The federal budget and spending have long been a hotly debated political issue, with many pushing for a balanced budget. However, a balanced federal budget is not required. But that could be changing as Montana Governor Greg Gianforte and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis joined forces today, promoting a constitutional amendment. MTN's John Riley has more on that proposal.
49 of the 50 states require some form of a balanced budget. On Monday, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte hosted Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to discuss how the states can require a federal balanced budget. The two Republican governors met with legislators to encourage passing a resolution calling for a convention of states to create a federal balanced budget amendment. Under Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, if 2/3 of state legislatures, 34 at present, pass resolutions asking for a convention of states, Congress must hold one. At a convention, representatives can propose amendments to the U.S. Constitution. It would then require 3/4 of states, 38 at present, to ratify the amendment. Gianforte and DeSantis both believe a federally balanced budget is possible, although it may take time to implement, given the $36 trillion deficit the country currently faces.
I think this can be done without significant tax increases, but it means being really prudent, just like we've done in the state. As you know, we've been able to cut taxes significantly. We've been able to pay off all of our debt.
So much of this stuff is just put on top of spending increase on top of spending increase, and it's hot wired. I think a balanced budget requirement, all that changes, and they're going to approach it much differently.
A convention of states has never successfully been called, although there have been a couple times where it was close. DeSantis said he believes by getting closer to a convention call, Congress will be forced to take action one way or another. A Montana legislature resolution to invoke Article 5 is currently making its way through the legislative process. In Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
The Senate Ethics Committee's investigation into former Senate President Jason Ellsworth is wrapped up, but punishment will have to wait. That's because lawmakers couldn't reach an agreement on potential discipline. Comes after reports that Ellsworth, a Republican from Hamilton, signed a state contract with a former business associate but did not disclose their connection. Ellsworth said today that he did not personally benefit from any deal, but acknowledged there may have been an appearance of something special. Republican Senator Forrest Mandeville brought a motion today to expel Ellsworth from the Senate, but that failed to pass, as did an attempt to censure Ellsworth and remove him from committee assignments. The next step forward is not clear, but some senators say they want to continue to work toward a possible agreement on some form of censure motion. Tonight, a Billings family is speaking out on motorcycle safety after their loved one ended up in the hospital yesterday with serious injuries. That crash, which happened on King Avenue West, a cruel reminder of the dangers as we head into the spring. As our Marcus Kakova learns, his wife wants to make sure no others have to live through this terrifying reality.
As temperatures begin to rise and seasons change, it'll mean more motorcyclists on the road.
My two truest loves, my husband and riding a motorcycle.
42 years old, David LaFlame's future is uncertain tonight.
I just know that he went down and hit something hard enough to break his neck.
His wife, Mandy LaFlame, says David's headed to an MRI following his motorcycle crash on Sunday on the 2800 block of King Avenue West. She says David has C1 and C2 breaks, lower back fractures, an open fracture to the wrist, and broken ribs.
He'd stopped. I just contributed it to traffic. And then I saw an ambulance come this way, and I told my daughter, I said, David's down there.
Despite motorcycles only making up 3% of registered vehicles, they constituted nearly 15% of fatalities in accidents in 2022. A statistic, Mandy says, is beatable.
Wear your helmets, because had he not worn his helmet, he would have been dead. I'd trade him spots if I could.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.